What's up? Welcome to the party. It's the Minnesota Football Party special Wednesday episode. We've added a third episode per week because why not? The Minnesota Vikings are 12-2. I'm Sam Ekstrom. So glad you joined us today on Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And for our everydayers, you know that this is day 3 of my voice absolutely being miserable. I apologize for that. We're going to get into Kirk Cousins benching Kevin O'Connell's Coach of the Year candidacy and the Seattle Seahawks game on Sunday. Let's meet our panel, though, first with our whip around introductions. Reggie, take it away.
Reggie Wilson, sports director at Care 11. And, my interview with Kirk Cousins during the summer kind of proven to be a little bit prophetic. We'll talk about it.
Ooh.
Julia Daniels, also with Care 11, sports reporter there. And I think that we should release the tape on that, Reggie. I think we should.
And I'm Ron Johnson, former Gophers wide receiver, NFL wide receiver, Gophers Hall of Famer. So football is my life, but I have to talk about why. Life is football, but then there's also life after football.
And again, I'm Sam Ekstrom reminding you that the show today is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Now, Reggie used the word prophetic. 2 weeks ago, I just want to remind folks that during the bold prediction segment, I said that the Vikings would end Kirk Cousins' Falcons career. Now, I'm wrong. I don't get credit for it. He played one more game, but I am taking a spiritual victory lap for nailing kind of my bold prediction. Kirk Cousins benched for Michael Penix Jr. It dropped last night. They are in the playoff hunt with 3 games to go, and they go to their first round pick. They bench the $180 million quarterback. So, Reggie, you've piqued my interest. Tell me about this summer interview and tell me what's next for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, so over the summer, Kirk came back for a camp. It was in June, and he did a camp over in Mendota Heights. And there was so many people, so many kids coming to see Kirko. And he had his camp, and I was able to catch up with him before the camp started. And they told me, all this stuff was off limits, and, don't ask him about the Falcons, don't ask him about the Vikings and all this stuff. And so, of course, being a,
intrepid
bulldog reporter as I am, I had to get a little bit of a jab in there at the end because I'm just like, come on, not going to talk about it? Come on. And so at the very end of the interview, I didn't know that our photog JT was still rolling. And I was just like, Kirk, man, we ran out of time. I was going to ask you about Michael Penix. And he looked so annoyed. So annoyed. And he was like, he gave me like one of those fake laughs, like, ha, 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 ha. Yeah, that's life in the NFL. What are you going to do? And like his body language was just like, get me out of here from this freaking guy. And right now, if you go to my Instagram story, Reggie Wilson TV, hello, Bo. We can check that out together. It's on my Instagram story right now. And so I just thought that was a interesting thing to recall back because he clearly was bothered by the Falcons doing that. And I think this was probably like worst case scenario of what he was hoping not to happen. And here's the thing. It started off well, like it seemed like he was kind of revving up and he had that 3 touchdown performance before the bottom fell out. And, he had the crowd swag surfing. Atlanta Kirko was a thing, getting them fitted for some chains and all that. And then the Falcons went on this incredibly terrible losing streak. And, Kirk went like 4 games without throwing a touchdown. And he's throwing like 8 interceptions. And it's like, who is this guy? Here's the thing. I think that Kevin O'Connell maximized who Kirk Cousins is. And when he came down to Atlanta, they looked at him as like a Peyton Manning type, like, hey, we got this veteran quarterback who's been there, done that, who can, lead us. But then he's coming off the Achilles, so he's not the same guy. I saw him, what was it, this past Monday, struggled to even get the ball to Bijan Robinson and ended up having to take the sack, if you will. I guess you call it a sack or just a tackle for loss, because he couldn't get the ball to Bijan on a handoff. And it's just he can't really move. And he's like a statue back there. And I just, much respect to Zach Robinson, his offensive coordinator. I just think that they thought they were getting a guy who wasn't who he is and who he's presenting himself to be. I think the Achilles is part of it. I think, he's 36 years old. Tony Kornheiser yesterday said that he didn't think that they should give up on Cousins, but Cousins looked like Matt Ryan at the end of his Atlanta Falcons tenure. But this is a guy you just gave $100 million guaranteed to. And so, maybe now the Falcons look like they were smart for bypassing, maybe a Dallas Turner at 8 and going for Michael Penix Jr. instead of, trying to shore up the team around the guy that you just gave $100 million guaranteed dollars to. But I just think it was probably time. I don't know about the timing, considering that they are trying to get a playoff spot, but I do understand that Kirk was not doing what they wanted him to, couldn't maximize the offense, couldn't maximize what was happening out there. So they felt like they needed to make a change. With that being said, Michael Penix was my draft crush. I have one every year.
You loved him.
Love Michael Penix. I think he was the most NFL ready quarterback coming out of the draft. And so, with him being 24 years old, he's battle tested, multiple injuries in college. He's played at the highest level in college. And so I just think that they're going to plug him in there, and he's going to, he'll have his rookie growing pains, but I think that it's going to be for the best. If it doesn't work out for the rest of the year, that's fine. These are valuable game reps, getting him ready to take over for next year. But now the Falcons are in a situation like the Vikings, where if they cut bait with Kirk, they got $40 million in dead cap, 25 the year after that. Like, was it all worth it?
Here's where I go with this, though. Kirk Cousins wasn't that bad. Now, he did have a bad stretch, but the team also had a bad stretch. So if you look at the stats, Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins, 14 games apiece, 300 completions for Kirk, 288 for Sam, 3,500 yards for both, almost 8 yards per pass for both, 250 yards per game for both. The biggest difference is interception. Sam Darnold 11, Kirk Cousins 16. Sam Darnold 29 touchdowns, Kirk Cousins 18. Sacks, though. Sam Darnold has been sacked 42 times compared to Kirk Cousins 28. So Sam is under pressure way more than Kirk Cousins. Here's a big difference. The Falcons' defense is hot garbage. Like, they can't stop a nosebleed with tissue, Band-Aids, and somebody's mom holding their nose. Like, so to put this all on Kirk Cousins, it's literally the Falcons front office just saying, we got to find a scapegoat for the season because Mr. Blank is not good. I saw Arthur Blank coming out the tunnel, and he didn't look happy. Like, he was like, why am I in Minnesota to deal with this? Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to have to tell people why my team drafted Mike Penix. If they didn't have Michael Penix, they wouldn't even be worried about this. The worry is in the numbers, but they're not looking at the true numbers, where if you were to switch Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, shout out to Lindsay Lohan, Freaky Friday, or Drake and what was the dude's name? Lil Dicky.
Lil Dicky and no, it was Chris Brown.
Chris Brown and Lil Dicky. Shout out to Chris Brown and Lil Dicky switching bodies. Like, if Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold were to switch teams, we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Sam Darnold probably would get benched for Michael Penix, and Kirk Cousins would be 11 or whatever we are, 12-2. Like, it's literally the defense. Like, we don't give Michael, Brian Flores, enough credit for what he's doing to help this team out. Sam Darnold has been sacked 42 times. 42. Now, touchdowns, big difference. Justin Jefferson, Drake London can't catch. And it's partly because you have to, like, his catch radius right now, I don't know if it's nerves about getting hit. You watch that throw Sam Darnold throws to Justin Jefferson when it's 4 dudes. If you just saw Dan Orlovsky break it down, when they were in the red zone, Justin catches it on the 1-yard line. When Sam Darnold lets it go, you don't see Justin Jefferson in the frame. If you're looking at the back angle of the all 22, you don't see Justin Jefferson. If you look at the full all 22, he's outside the hash when the ball is released, which is nuts. It's like throwing a grenade into a room full of your friends and saying, hey, one of y'all gonna die. Like, he throws it in the middle of 4 guys. Justin Jefferson catches it, slides. Kirk Cousins doesn't have a receiver in Atlanta he trusts like that. Like, Kirk Cousins is waiting for guys to get open. He's not throwing guys open. He's not throwing guys like Justin Jefferson is down there somewhere. Jordan Addison's down there somewhere. It's the ability to run the ball was great for them when they have Bijan Robinson with all the stuff. So I do agree with, like, hey, it's time to move on. But it's also they don't have any weapons. Like, other than Bijan Robinson, those other receivers aren't giving them much. And Kyle Pitts is still mad that he should have given up his number. He should have gave Kirk 8, and he should have took 4 and moved on. Like, take 4. Dude, like, why are you holding on to this 8 as if, like, your jersey sales are going to matter? Like, people don't know, okay, he's 4 now. We're going to go buy 4. Like, just switch the jersey. Let Kirk have 8 because 18 does not look right on him. It looks like Peyton Manning going to the Broncos. It might work, but, hey, it might not work. Like, and that's what I feel like why so many people understand this. Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold have similar stats. Just the teams are not, they're different. And I think Reggie brought this up. KOC is the reason Kirk Cousins was as good as he is. Raheem Morris doesn't know how to talk to Kirk Cousins. And that's it. Mental health. Kirk is not feeling like himself in Atlanta. He's trying to swag surf. Come on now. This dude doesn't even body surf. Like, he wouldn't go to Great Wolf Lodge and get in the little machine. Like, he's not a surfer. Stop it. Like, stop it. Stop trying to be Atlanta. You're not Atlanta. Like, I get that's Kirk's personality, but just be Kirk. Throw on some yacht rock and, like, do what you do. But no, I can't put this on Kirk. That team is not good.
I agree to some extent that I think another team will trade for him. I think his Falcons career is done. I think someone else will say, hey, you know, you had a bad stretch. We think you were poorly utilized. We're going to take a gamble that you can find it again with the proper coaching, another year of healing, and we're going to fix you. I think that he does have a future. Got to hear from Julia on this, though. Julia, where do you stand?
No, I completely agree with Ron on this. In shocking turn of events, I completely agree. I don't.
Yes. For those watching if you're not watching on YouTube, you have no idea what's going on. So make sure you guys, if you're listening to the audio, go over to YouTube so you can see. Oh, yes. I'll be back.
I do agree. I think that this is. I don't think. I mean, the 4 interception game obviously was not great.
Horrible. Yeah, he was bad.
Yeah,
he was
but
bad.
I will say that was kind of an outlier in terms of how his entire season has gone. I think Atlanta's just really terrible, and they are looking for some kind of scapegoat here. And they are lucky that they have this first round draft pick quarterback that they can try and throw things on, and then if things don't work out there, they can say, "Oh, he's just a rookie. What did you expect? You know, he hasn't really played hardly any games in the NFL. You know, we were just trying something else out new." I think I will say the funny thing with Kevin O'Connell, everyone says he's the quarterback whisperer, this, that, and the other. I think with a true science experiment, you have to see it 3 times. You have to have 3 trial and errors and to see success on 3 things before you actually really say that it's Kevin O'Connell. I will say
Look at Julia paying attention to chemistry class.
He will say, I need to see him like maybe next year turn Daniel Jones into a superstar, and then we'll be like, oh, okay. All right. For sure.
Julia, Josh Dobbs. Josh Dobbs.
He made him famous for 3 weeks.
Josh Dobbs played his best football when he didn't know what KOC was talking about.
True. Very true.
Very true.
Very true. Go out there and improvise like Jamie Foxx and Any Given Sunday.
Yeah. I do think we can infer that Kevin O'Connell is the common denominator between Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins' best performances that they've had so far. But I completely agree with Ron on this. Atlanta's not the right fit for him. They have not utilized him in the way that he needs to be utilized. They've not played to his strengths. He doesn't have a lot of help out there. I think that benching him was a huge shock to me. I've been saying, people have been talking about this, especially when they were coming to town. Do you think that they're going to bench him? Are they going to bench him? And I thought, absolutely not. No, I don't think they're going to bench him. I don't think this is his fault that they're playing so poorly. Could he play better? Absolutely. But I do think that he's not been given a lot of opportunity to do well in Atlanta. I also think it's interesting that he constantly goes into these, that's his third organization. He's like, I want to retire here. I want to retire here. Now I'm going to retire. And so we'll probably see a fourth organization, this summer where he's like, this is where I plan on retiring. We'll see how that plays out. But I do think someone will trade for him. But I am 100% with Ron on this. This is not on Kirk.
Julie Cousins. She's mad right now. She's from Atlanta.
Yeah, she's back at the crib. She's
expecting
like,
to stay there forever.
Man.
Right. She woke up this morning, man, we might have to move.
Like, I've been listening to all this trap music all year for what?
I will say to Julia and Ron's points, and kind of what I was saying earlier, I don't really know how to properly evaluate his offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson. I guess maybe we'll see what Michael Penix Jr. does. But you would think that they would look at some film and say, all right, Kirk, what do you like? They got him out in pistol. Kirk never was in pistol when he was with the Vikings. And, they got him running stretch plays, and he's woofing it, trying to get to that edge to get the ball carrier the ball coming off the torn Achilles. Can we kind of maybe simplify things? Can we kind of work with him? That was the other thing, Kirk always talked about, even before Kevin O'Connell, working with Clint Kubiak and Andrew Janocko, how those guys were trying to figure out what worked best for him. It doesn't seem like they were. It seemed like they were trying to fit Kirk. They're like, okay, Kirk is a good quarterback, so he'll make whatever work. And so they were trying to fit him into the offense that they wanted to run, as opposed to trying to figure out, okay, what are Kirk's strengths? What routes, maximize his arm and all this stuff. It just, I don't know. It was just a disaster.
The play action is the biggest malpractice on that coaching staff's part, because if you look at 2022, Kirk Cousins' last full healthy year, he was second in play action attempts, and he has historically thrived as a play action passer.
Yep, naked boots and all that stuff.
This year with the Falcons, 28th in play action attempts. That's the easiest miss that you can identify, is that they just didn't have him do the thing that he's best at doing. Doesn't make sense. Don't understand it. We talked about Kevin O'Connell, though, being the common denominator. Kevin O'Connell is now the favorite to be the coach of the year. We get into that debate next on the Minnesota Football Party. And we are brought to you today by FanDuel, our great sportsbook partner and official sportsbook partner of the NFL and America's #1 sportsbook. New customers right now at FanDuel can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. You could bet Vikings -3.5 in Seattle, or you could take the money line and you could get $150 in bonus bets if that wins. You can also bet during the game with live wagering options at FanDuel, so you never waste a hunch. FanDuel.com or the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. Bet 5, get 150. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And coming up this week, it's the college football playoff, baby. It's back. Newly expanded 12-team format, guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing the hard-hitting, high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the college football playoff begins Saturday, December 21st, starting with the college football playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading into the first matchup, the Southern Methodist Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the college football playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Welcome back, Locked On Sports Minnesota. Please subscribe. We'd appreciate that. Get us to 9,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel. Hear our audio in the Locked On Vikings audio feed. All right, KOC Coach of the Year. It's a possibility. Let me give you the updated to the second FanDuel odds. Kevin O'Connell, favorite, -115. Dan Campbell, second at plus 400. Sean Payton and Dan Quinn tied at plus 600. I think the dark horse is Mike Tomlin. I mean, Mike Tomlin's sitting there at plus 1,600, and he's won 10 games with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. That's a pretty good coaching job to me. But make the argument, starting with Julia. Is Kevin O'Connell going to win Coach of the Year, and why?
I think yes. I'm going to go with yes, because Coach of the Year is not necessarily how your team performs, but how your team performs versus the expectations that they had for your team headed into the season. And no one had any expectations for the Vikings ahead of this one with Sam Darnold at quarterback. So yeah, I would say, and also just the way we've talked about it all season, the way that they have put together this roster with all of these free agents and having these puzzle pieces come together and work so well together is not something that you see very often in the league. And it's something that when you have a roster like that headed into a season, you really don't expect a whole lot out of them. And the fact that they are sitting where they're sitting right now and playing the way that they're playing, I can see why Kevin O'Connell is now the favorite, right? Dan Campbell's not the favorite because they did so well last year. Now, if they were having this season with a bad season last year, Dan Campbell would probably be the favorite, right? But yeah, I'm going to go Kevin O'Connell on this for sure, especially if they – wait, when does that come out?
Coach of the Year?
Yeah.
I don't believe it's a postseason vote. So it's all about regular season performance.
Okay, yeah, then I think he's got it in the bag at this point. We'll see how they play, obviously, these last couple games. But I think right now you just like look at the way that the roster has come together, and especially Sam Darnold's performance this season, having his best year, the way that all of us like kind of groaned when they brought him in, and to see the way that they have done this season, I think warrants a Coach of the Year award for sure. Because it's really not about like how great your team is, how well you're coaching. It's about how well they do in spite of what the expectation was.
Yeah, so I think you're right. I also think though that this could flip in the final 3 weeks because the Lions are so down and out right now. Everybody expects them to fall apart with the loss of the defensive players they have. And I know Dan Campbell's not strictly the defensive coordinator on that team, but if they are able to patch that together and win 2 or 3 games down the stretch, beat the Vikings in Week 18 and win the division, maybe grab the number 1 seed, I think that flips the narrative. I think it would go back to Dan Campbell because of how down the Lions are right now with injuries. Campbell did that impassioned radio interview yesterday, dropping F-bombs on the radio in Detroit. KOC would never do that. Campbell, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's aggressive. He makes absurd decisions. But if those come up positive for the Lions in the final 3 weeks and he can somehow get them to the division title, I think there's a chance that Campbell steals it from KOC. But Ron, it really comes down to KOC had Sam Darnold. He had a quote-unquote rebuilding team. And he got the Vikings here. And he not only that, but he's gotten that quarterback into the MVP conversation. That alone is the biggest argument for KOC here.
Yeah, and so I agree with the way Julie is saying it. So when you think about expectation, nobody expected Sam Darnold to be good. And I think that's what we're forgetting is like, it's not just the team, because sometimes some people win. I mean, you have to win, but they don't win at all. But what did he do with the team? What did he do with a certain player? What did he do with a person or the organization? Because think about Bill Belichick. He didn't win Coach of the Year a ton. 1, nobody liked him. 2, they gave it to Tom Brady. They thought Tom Brady was the reason the Patriots were so good. And so if you think about 7 Super Bowls or 6, I don't even know how many he has, 6 Super Bowls. You would think, oh, he was the Coach of the Year like 6 times. No, he wasn't. Like when you get Randy Moss, Tom Brady, like, come on, you should win a Super Bowl. You should have won a Super Bowl. You didn't. You should be 18-0. So I think Kevin O'Connell is going to get it because of what he's done with Sam Darnold. Like that is working absolute magic. That's taking clay and making the Mona Lisa. And it's like, I don't even have paint, but watch what I do. And that's where I think KOC is edging it. Now, the one thing about the Lions, people love Dan Campbell. They love his heart. They love how he's not only, it's not this season, he's changed Detroit football as a whole, with the history of like Megatron, Barry Sanders, guys retiring early because the owners are super cheap. Like, he's changed a lot of that perspective. He's gained the hearts of America, and it's like, oh, he's so heartfelt. But some of his play calls down late have hurt him, and a lot of people are questioning, how long does this last? Like, how long can you be Riverboat Ron? Because Ron Rivera had it, and then eventually the other shoe dropped. And it's like, dude, you eventually got to stop gambling. And so I think with Sam Darnold, expectation versus outcome, it's got to be Kevin O'Connell. Because everybody expected the Lions to be this good. And that's the question. Like, we knew the Lions were the best team. Like, we didn't think the Vikings would be 12-2. Like, I don't know if you've seen the meme of I think it's Roy McIlroy or Tiger Woods standing there, and they're supposed to be the Lions, and they have their record. And
John
then it's
Daly.
and it's John Daly standing there with like the crazy pants, polo shirt, smoke cigar, frazzled hair, glasses that are super crazy. And it's like, this is the Vikings. Like, hey, we're here too. We're 12-2. I don't think I'm supposed to be here, but I'm here. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, the Vikings are playing with house money at this point. The only thing that's going to hurt Kevin O'Connell, which it doesn't matter, it is a season award and not postseason, but we do know, like, within that first week of the playoffs, the voting, I think, is not finished. And I'm not going to say it. I'm not saying people cheat, but people might cheat. If Kevin O'Connell takes an early exit in the playoffs and Dan Campbell's in the first round and they win, and like the Eagles have the first, the bye or whatever, I feel like Dan Campbell gets it. But I don't see at this point the Bucks, the Falcons, the Rams. I don't see any of those teams beating the Vikings the way they're playing right now.
I'm just gonna read before we get to Reggie. I'm gonna read a ranking, and I think Ron, we probably talked about this on the Ron Johnson show. This is Pro Football Focus on May 21st. They ranked the quarterback situations in the league. Number 31, Sam Darnold / JJ McCarthy. Number 32, Jared Stidham and Bo Nix with the Broncos. Those are two playoff teams right there. And I think that Sean Payton also probably won't win, but he definitely deserves a lot of hat tips for what he's done with Bo Nix in Denver, who was considered the worst of the first-round picks. But 31 and 32 quarterback situations.
The fact that they put Daniel Jones ahead of the Vikings, that alone should have told us that I don't trust that. Like, I don't believe you.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew.
Correct. With the Raiders,
30.
like, come on.
Will Levis was 28.
Oh, my gosh. Come on.
Jaden Daniels was 27. That turned out pretty well.
That's horrible. That he should have been way up there. Like, but again, Daniel Jones, like, how is Sam Darnold behind the Raiders and the Titans? Like, stop it. Like, come on.
Yeah. Reggie, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. It was pretty much blank stare news when the Vikings moved on from Kirk Cousins and signed Sam Darnold. It was just like, okay. But maybe we didn't have as much confidence in Kevin O'Connell as we should have with his ability to get that guy ready to go. And we were just talking about the Falcons. I think what the Falcons were hoping was what has played out in Minnesota. You draft a young quarterback, you got a veteran ahead of him. You don't need to use said young quarterback. That young quarterback got hurt in Minnesota, but you don't need to use said young quarterback because the veteran is playing so well. I think that's what they were hoping for in Atlanta, and it didn't work out that way. But the team around, as Ron was talking about, the team around the veteran quarterback is not good enough. And so I think you kind of look at everything. If you watch Care 11, Vikings Extra, my hot dish on Sunday was that I think Kevin O'Connell should be coach of the year. And I preface by saying, look at the material. So the material as laid out, picked to be near the bottom of the league. Nobody believed in Sam Darnold considering, his career up until this point. But Kevin O'Connell does what he does, and he maximizes that position that he used to play. And so I think when you look at it like that, they win 12 games. Honestly, if Kirk Cousins doesn't get hurt last year, you're probably talking about 3 straight winning seasons to start his career in Minnesota. And I know you don't look at last year for the award, but even just looking at this year, how this team has played well for him and how they've exceeded expectations. And I wonder too, sometimes, like, with as well as Sam Darnold is playing, especially like, he had the 3 interception game in Jacksonville, and everybody's like, all right, that's the Sam Darnold we know.
Mm-hmm.
But then he bounces back and plays well the next 4 or 5 weeks. And I wonder if Kevin O'Connell even is like, man, this is crazy. I didn't even expect Sam to be doing this. This is, because he gives all these impassioned speeches in the locker room after the game, like, we brought this guy here. We knew exactly what he could be. And he's proven it every week. And it's like, did you know? Like, did you know? Because the tea leaves said that he was willing to run it back with Kirk Cousins because he believed that he could maximize him. And Kwesi kind of like saved him from himself. Like, yeah, we're not reaching Kirk's number. And, we're going to sign Van Ginkel, Grenard, Cashman in place of Kirk's contract. You're the guy. Make it work with Sam. And he's done that. And so when you look at that and you look at how well the team, has responded and plays for him, we talk to these guys every week and they talk about how much they enjoy playing for Kevin O'Connell. I know that's probably not a part of the award, but I think because of what he has done, considering the expectations coming into this, like, they were picked to not just be near the bottom of the division, but be in the bottom of the league. This was a rebuilding year. And they've already clinched the playoff berth. So I think that enough gives Kevin O'Connell the coach of the year nod in my eyes.
I'm going to read a text I got from someone in the Rams building after the Vikings hired O'Connell. So someone who knew him with the Rams. And this was early 2022, right? He had not coached a game as a head coach, but isn't it like perfectly on point? About as opposite of Zimmer as you can get. Calm, cool, collected, poised. He will get fiery when needed behind closed doors, but outwardly will be very chill, very relatable, and very likable. If communication is what Eric Kendricks wanted, he got it. And I think that nails it. Like, I think that, it was clear what he was in LA. And I don't know how the Vikings got him, honestly. Like, wasn't he sought after in that coaching cycle? Didn't other teams interview him and not hire him? That's crazy to me because he presents such like a confident coach persona that I'm really surprised the Vikings landed this guy, and he's been unbelievable now. What,
and
32
Harbaugh
and 16? Yeah, that's
Harbaugh
right.
was a part of that process, and they brought him in, and it looked like it was trending towards Harbaugh leaving Michigan and coming to Minnesota, and it didn't work out, and they picked O'Connell instead.
Yeah, when the Vikings play the Chargers next, I hope KOC whispers in his ear, "Hey, I beat you out for this job, man. I beat you."
The one thing I will say, the part of your text though, the Eric Kendricks, that's the part that's hilarious because he goes back to the Cowboys to Mike Zimmer, so he clearly didn't want communication.
Hasn't gone great.
Like, I love the guy. Never not love the guy.
Always loyal to Mike Zimmer. Coming up next, we preview the Seahawks and we pick which returning Viking is most important from their current injury. That's next, Minnesota Football Party. Brought to you today by Prize Picks. It's the best way to play daily fantasy sports. If you love watching the game, you love Prize Picks. It is football. It is basketball. It's all your favorite sports. It makes the holidays bigger and brighter because you can win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. This holiday season, they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas and offering 2 free picks in December. When your picks hit, Prize Picks makes it easy to cash out. Get your money as quickly as 15 minutes. I'm checking out the Geno Smith, if he plays, Geno Smith yardage more than option in the entry because I think the Seahawks are going to have to pass the football. Geno Smith passes the football really effectively. Got to watch that knee. Got to watch the injury report, but I like Geno Smith going more than. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL. Get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks, run your game. And we're presented by Rocket Money. Do you have like a million subscriptions you forgot about and that you're actually paying for? That definitely happened to me recently with all those streaming subscriptions that kind of pile up on us. Rocket Money can make it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances, a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, lower your bills, and grow your savings. It's a one-stop shop. It's all in one place. Track your spending habits this holiday season. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Rolling along, Minnesota football party. Ron Johnson, the Vikings play in Seattle on Sunday at 3. They have not won in Seattle since Brad Johnson was passing the ball to like Marcus Robinson and Travis Taylor and handing the ball to Chester Taylor, who went for a 95-yard touchdown in that game 18 years ago. But the Vikings need to win there again to keep track for the 1 seed. Give me a key to victory on Sunday, Ron.
So funny. The one thing about those 3 names, I would have thought you were talking about the Ravens. Chester, Travis, and Marcus all were Ravens. So it was almost like because they were all my teammates. And so because I know Brian Billick, he came from Minnesota, went to the Ravens, and I know the front office guys from the Vikings came over to Ravens. So there is something to that, to like front office people knowing each other and be like, hey man, what do you think about this guy? All right, man, we'll bring him in. And because literally all 3 of those guys were all Ravens, and they all ended up together in Minnesota. But when you think about the key. And so the one key I'm going to go to, and I'm going to stick with this all week. I'm going to get on the football party tomorrow. I'll talk about this. When I get on the pregame show on Sunday, I'm doing the film breakdown of third downs. It's third down defense. Third down defense is the reason why the Vikings were able to kill the Bears. Like if you ever wanted to kill a bear, just stop them on third down. Like if it's brown, lay down. And if it's black, fight back. I think that's how it goes with brown and black bears, but I don't know. Like either way, if I see brown, I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm not even trying it. I'm not. But when you look at the Bears offense and the way the Vikings handled it, it was breaking trends. So we know Flores loves to blitz a ton. It looked like with the Bears, he was playing mind games with Caleb Williams. Like I might blitz, I might not, I might blitz, I might nope. You got to throw it now. And so I think this is going to be the key. And we don't know if it's going to be Geno Smith or Sam Howell. I think today we'll get a little bit more clear picture of Geno's knee. But if he doesn't go Sam Howell, I don't think the Seahawks have a chance. That's my other key. If it's Sam Howell, the Seahawks have no chance. Like I'm just going to throw that out there now. I might be wrong. I might come back and cold hard takes this and be like, look, I can't believe this guy said they have no chance. But I don't think with Sam Howell, they have a chance. Now, Geno Smith, the reason they have a chance is he is one of the top passers in the NFL. He runs, so he will get out of. But again, with that knee, because he's saying he wants to go Sunday. I just saw the report saying he wants to go Sunday. I would not put my knee in Brian Flores's crosshairs because you can't pivot, you can't push off, you can't move quick. It's going to be sore, it hurts, it's swollen, and I get it. Like you're going to be able to ice it all week. He's going to be a limited participant. I just don't see it. So my key is going to be third downs. And when you look at the Vikings third down situation right now, they are sixth. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in first downs or third down conversions on third down. So first or touchdown, conversions. And then turnovers on third down. They're leading the NFL with almost 5% of their third down plays have resulted in a turnover. They've only given up 8 touchdowns on third down, and they've had 12 sacks on third down, which is not one of the top. And that's what's crazy is 23 sacks is Houston, 21 sacks is Baltimore, 20 sacks is Dallas. Shout out to Mike Zimmer. And then Philadelphia with 20 sacks and Green Bay with 19. So clearly one of those one of these doesn't what is that? One of these things is not like the other, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know how they're getting so many sacks on third down, but they're not like the rest of these teams. And so when you think about that, Brian Flores is only getting 12 sacks on third down because he's doing his dirty work on first and second down in order to forcing them into third long. And when you look at third and to go, Minnesota leads the NFL with third and to go. So 8.2 yards is the average third down the Minnesota Vikings is facing. That is number 1 in the NFL. Denver second at 8. And then, of course, the Detroit Lions. Of course they are. 7.9. So third down is going to be my key to this. You do this, what you've been doing, Seahawks have no chance.
Here's my key stat for this game. Geno Smith under pressure. Brian Flores is going to be licking his chops. Geno Smith has been pressured on 210 dropbacks this year. Wow. Number 1 in the league. His passer rating under pressure is 57.1, 35th in the league. He's thrown 11 interceptions under pressure, worst in the NFL. So this feels to me like a blitz game. This is a game where you bring pressure early, often, and create multiple takeaways. That's my key to victory. Reggie Wilson, how about you?
So I think they should channel their inner Dan Campbell and bite Geno's kneecap. Just bite it off.
Bold decision.
Yeah, because that'll just take him out of there. No, I saw the report saying
legally bite his kneecap
for sure.
I think
don't tie your Harding to bed.
Kick. What about an onside kick in like the second quarter? Maybe they can channel that Campbell too.
I say, Julia, do you remember Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding? Were you old enough to remember that story?
Yeah, no, I wasn't alive.
But you know the story though?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I, Tanya, the movie.
Yeah.
I saw it live and I'm like, whoa, what just happened? What was this?
Like that was probably crazy to see live.
That is crazy.
It was just the interview, and all of a sudden the police take off running. The cameras are like running like they're a Maury Povich, and she's like in the tunnel, like, oh my god, my knees.
Why?
We're like, yeah.
Yikes. Well, yeah, don't necessarily do that, but so here's the thing.
I'm sorry, I forgot about the why. That was the funniest part of it.
So here's the thing. The Seahawks are a very explosive team, but I feel like sometimes the Seahawks don't necessarily like play as well as you would expect them to play. Like they had a stretch during the season where they lost 3 straight games, and one of those were to the Giants. It's like, how are you losing to the Giants? But I think it's going to be an interesting game just because, like, especially if Geno is in a position to play, that Seahawks offense is explosive. And I don't know the status of Kenneth Walker for the game, but even Zach Charbonnet has been really good for the team as well. Okay, Kenneth Walker is questionable for the game. And so I think that also they have a young defense that flies around. I think Ryan Clark talked about this last week on Inside the NFL, but they traded for Ernest Jones at the linebacker spot, and he's just flying around. And they got these young corners who also play well. So I'm interested to see what Mike McDonald, he was thought to be a defensive wizard when he was with the Ravens. I'm interested to see what his game plan is for Justin Jefferson as well, just because we've seen Justin kind of break out the last few games from all the blanket shell coverages and all that stuff and find windows to be able to still be productive. So we mentioned the 42 sacks from Sam Darnold. I think that's going to be key. Some of the sacks have been on the line, but some of the sacks have been on Darnold as well, holding the ball for a long time. You kind of talk about the differences between Darnold and Cousins. Cousins is going to get that thing out of there. He may throw it to the other team while he's trying to get it out of there so fast, but he does not hold on the ball for as long as Darnold does. And so, if Darnold is trying to make that play, that Seahawks front is going to be coming after him, and that's something to watch out for. I think it's going to be a really tough game, those 12s, but I think if they continue on that trajectory, if they can run the football well and kind of keep ahead of the chains and don't get into what KOC calls those big weighty downs and try to put too much on Sam Darnold, I think they'll be okay.
Julia Daniels.
Well, we covered it all now, right?
Nothing left. We stole it.
I think the the Seahawks offensive line struggled against the Packers, and I think they're going to definitely, if they struggle against the Packers, they're definitely going to be hurting against this Brian Flores defense. Yeah, if Geno plays, I think he's got a lot to fear. And if Sam Howell plays, he's got even more to fear. I think their biggest strength, the Seahawks, in this game will be their 12th man. Sam, you talked about a few weeks ago, Seattle's a hard place to play. And I feel like Harrison Phillips and I have had a conversation about, like, you know, crowd noise is a huge factor when it comes to, like, he was just very upfront and honest about, like, how it really does affect them a lot. And I think that will be their greatest strength against the Vikings this week. But I do think if you've seen the offensive line struggle against the Packers pass rush, they're definitely going to struggle against Brian Flores's defense. It could be really rough for the Seahawks.
This is easily the biggest house of horrors now for the Vikings. Now that they've conquered Soldier Field the last 5 years, now it's Seattle. You got to conquer Seattle. So this is a building where you've got nightmares from the past. You just got to go and get the job done. You got to get the job done this Sunday and make that Packers game, make that Lions game meaningful in the final 2 weeks. I do want to go quickly around the circle. We got word yesterday from KOC. Gilmore probably back this week. Pace probably back next week. Ron, who's the more important of the two returning injured players?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Man, that's a good one. I kind of want to go Pace just because of who they have coming up. When you think about the Lions, you got to stop the run. And I feel like Ivan Pace helps you in that. Ivan Pace also becomes a spy. I think Nudie is going to start to, and that's McGlovern, by the way, Dwight McGlovern. I think, watching him stop the stutter go of Keenan Allen, I think he's smarter than people give him credit for, even though he's young. People assume young DBs are dumb and crazy, but I think he's smarter. And he has the size, the length, the arm length, where he could become like a watered down Xavier Rhodes maybe down the stretch. I think Gilmore is good for like the stuff Flores wants to do with all the switching, but Fabian Moreau, like, we didn't notice him out there, which is a good thing. Like, he wasn't getting pass interferences. He wasn't getting beat. There wasn't a lot of finger pointing. Like, where were you at? Those McGlovern and Fabian Moreau have filled in well. I'd say I got to go with Pace, even though the front seven's doing great. I think Pace is just a change maker and a speed difference guy that can stop the run.
Reg?
Okay, so I'll go Gilmore just because of who they. I mean, like, I know he hasn't necessarily been what he's been in years past, but Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, like,
that's why
dangerous.
I struggle with that. Yeah, I struggle with the 2 picks. I'm going more to the Lions Packers game. I'm ignoring the Seahawks. I'm acting like these receivers don't exist. I don't.
Bold move, bold strategy. But then you look at the weapons that the Packers have as well, and then the Lions as well with those guys all. I mean, I'm a rock catching a slant and just taking it to the house this past Sunday. I think you need Gilmore, and you need Gilmore to be as healthy as possible to help this defensive backfield.
Can we get Sauce Gardner? I mean, why don't we just trade for
too late?
He's sick of Aaron Rodgers. Just, hey, you can come play with Sam Darnold.
Another former Jets quarterback. Julia, we got to see Nudie McGlovern on Sunday.
Nudie.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
I know.
I
If Gilmore,
kid. I talked to him a lot in the locker room, so he's a sweet kid. I talked to him at training camp. I actually had the story about his uncle nicknaming him Nudie before, like 4 weeks before all the beat writers decided to put it out there. Like,
you were referencing Nudie on this show like well before I knew what Nudie was. I
called his near pick 6 before it even happened in the preseason.
Yeah, no, you're on the Nudie beat for sure. You've been covering this story from the get-go.
Let's not put that out there.
Okay.
And he went to Arkansas, just I think he's a sweet kid. I talked to him last week when he was coming off the practice field, and I was like, "How was it your first NFL game?" And he was like, "It was the biggest blessing of my entire life. I can't believe it got to happen. It's such a dream come true." I was like,
Oh, just heart melting.
You just gotta root for a guy like that, you know? You have to. What's the question? Ivan Pace or
Gilmore or Pace? Bigger impact.
Man, I don't feel like I don't think they've been like terribly missing either of them just because they have so many pieces on the defense. But I will say, I feel like maybe it's a little bit more obvious that Gilmore's not been playing rather than Pace. I think Byron Murphy can't do everything on his own, right? But man, the defense is so well rounded. You know, I feel like obviously they'd be good to have them both back. But I think Gilmore probably more than Pace. I have to go with that for sure. Especially when there were a few times that in the past few games where all of a sudden there were like huge gains in the air where maybe they were missing him back there.
Yeah, I think it's close. I mean, I think that obviously corner is a more important position than inside linebacker, but also Ivan Pace is like kind of a one-of-one type of player. He does things that other people can't do, gives you blitzing options from that position. So I'm tempted to go with Pace because I just love the way that he'll be able to get after Jordan Love and Jared Goff. I can't wait to get him back. The plays he makes, the way he shoots the gap, hits that run fit. I really like Ivan Pace on the field. Possibly a liability in pass coverage, though. That's the one issue. Bold predictions. Here's what happened last week. Nobody got it right. Julia, you were wrong on the Hawkinson TD. Ron, you said 2 Bears turnovers. That was wrong. Now, I said 8 sacks, which was obviously well off, but I also said a Van Ginkel scoop and score. If Cashman doesn't pick up that football, Andrew Van Ginkel is scoring. I mean, he was literally reaching down for the ball, and he would have taken it to the house. I'm confident. So
Cashman was like rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Didn't work.
And getting tackled by Travis Homer. Van Ginkel blew the block. I mean, that was obviously Van Ginkel's fault. But bold predictions for this week. Julia, Daniels.
Dude, I'm sticking with a Hawk touchdown until he gets one. I'm sticking with it. And you know what? If he doesn't get one this week, I'm going to bring it up next week to him.
Maybe you should go for 2 touchdowns. Double down.
Yeah. No, we're going to stick with 1 for now.
Okay.
But I'm still sticking with TJ. He has to score a touchdown at some point, right, guys?
You would think, but
one would think, yeah.
Every time I hear Hawk touchdown, I think Hawk Tua. Like I'm like,
Okay.
I just thought that was what was about to be said. Like, hey, then I think crypto, then I think jail. Like it just all goes together. They all go together.
That escalated quickly.
My bold prediction, of course, mine didn't work out. 1 turnover, almost 2. But I should have known. Caleb Williams doesn't throw picks. He hadn't thrown a pick in 6 weeks or something like that. My bold prediction is going to be, I got to get a good one. Let's see. Sam Darnold, 300 yards. This is the game. I think he's going to go down to Seattle and throw for 300.
Nice. Reggie.
I can see that just because, like, I think the game could end up turning into like a shootout. So I can see 300. So Justin Jefferson's been on this streak. I am going to say on Sunday, Justin Jefferson is going to have 2 touchdowns.
That worked for you 2 weeks ago. You nailed the Justin Jefferson 2 TD bold prediction. I'm going to call, and I don't think this has happened yet this year, a Vikings special teams touchdown. Could be a blocked field goal, blocked punt touchdown, punt return, special teams touchdown. It's coming.
So we all went away from the defense. They got a 14-game takeaway streak going.
It's not bold anymore, you know?
Yeah, that's true. But it wasn't an interception this past week. It was a blow up your life, Jonathan Grenard.
I couldn't believe that Van Ginkel didn't jump a route with all of the wide receiver screens they do. I thought Van Ginkel was going to get one, man. Wasn't meant to be. Locked On Sports Minnesota is the home of the Minnesota Football Party, also the Ron Johnson Show, also the postcasts after every single game with host Luke Inman. Check out Care 11 with Reggie Wilson, with Julia Daniels. Check out the Ron Johnson Show with Ron Johnson. I'm Sam Ekstrom. Thanks for watching, listening, commenting, and subscribing. Talk to you next time on the Minnesota Football Party.